Welcome to our reflection for the fifth Sunday in Lent. Our Lenten theme this year is Roll Away the Stone. We invite you to take a moment to settle your spirits and calm your mind by taking some deep breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. We welcome you wherever you are on your journey. Our pre-Mass speaker this morning is Leyden Cavanaugh. She and her husband Joe Cavanaugh are longtime parishioners, 19 years and counting. Jane is a lead writer and facilitator of teacher retreats for Youth Frontiers, a prophetic voice in our church, and mom of St. Joan of Arc peer minister Tess Cavanaugh. We are so happy to have you with us this morning. Welcome, Jane.
Hello, St. Joan of Arc and friends. We really miss you. Sunday mornings are not the same these days. Joe, Tess, and I miss all your hugs and your smiles and your waves. And we really miss singing with you and grabbing your hand and saying the Our Father. And we really miss being physically with you. And we send our hearts to all of you. And we can't wait to see you again. Here we are, the fifth Sunday of Lent, and today's theme is Roll Away the Stone, We Are Alive. The gospel today is from John. It's the story of the raising of Lazarus. And what a perfect story for us right now when we are all stuck in our tombs of solitude. Today, the topic of life and death is real. As people of faith, we stand in solidarity with all those suffering and ill or have died from the COVID-19 virus, and we pray for all of those working in healthcare, the healers of our community who are sacrificing their lives to care for our sick and end this illness. Like in the gospel story, now is a very emotional time. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of grief, and there is a lot of confusion, just like in the story. And it truly is the living word. Although the story was written 2,000 years ago, it is still relevant in today's world. And my job today is I would like to share some thoughts on how this story can challenge and console us today. So here's a synopsis of this very, very long gospel story in about 60 seconds. Jesus is in Galilee with his disciples and gets word that one of his best friends, Lazarus, is dying in Bethany, a little suburb of Jerusalem. Jesus waits 2 days to respond, which is a very strange, not a normal reaction to hear after that news. A good friend would have left immediately to help or at least to say goodbye. But after day 2, Jesus tells his disciples they are leaving and they head to Bethany. His disciples tell him that that is a very, very bad idea because when they were there last, the religious leaders wanted to knock him off by stoning him. Jesus disregards their advice and shows up in Bethany. Mary and Martha greet him, but they are not very happy with him at all. And they both say the same thing. If you would have been here earlier, our brother would not have died. Jesus asks, where's Lazarus' body? And they take him to the tomb. And then here's the shortest verse in the Bible, John 11, verse 35. Jesus wept because Lazarus may have been his very best friend. And if you have ever witnessed the death of your very best friend, you cried too. Jesus says, take away the stone. Martha says, no way, you can't do that, it'll stink. Jesus says, so what? And shouts, Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus does, alive as he could be. What an amazing story. Look what the power of Jesus can do. 1 minute, the man is dead. The other, he's alive. There are many times I have felt like Lazarus. dead inside. In a dark, stinky cave, bound with no freedom at all. I love that character. I can really relate to him. Maybe you can relate too. As I was thinking about how I feel dead inside, I feel stuck in a dark tomb when I sleepwalk through my own life instead of risking and trying new things. Prior to this quarantine we are in, my life could be very monotonous. I get up at 6:20, make some coffee, eat my grape nuts, get dressed, say my morning prayers, get Tess to the bus, go to work, check my emails, go to meetings, go out to lunch, grab something to eat, come back, more emails, more meetings, go pick up something at the grocery store, make dinner, eat dinner, wash up, go to bed. Very routine. And I have to do it all over again the next day. And some days, it's, oh my gosh, I am bored with my own life. And when I sense this, some alarm goes off inside of me. It's the boredom alert. And I know I have to break the routine and intentionally take on a project or something new that stretches me or scares the heck out of me. I've got to take a risk and say yes to something I cannot do. Like the time my niece asked me to sing in her wedding. And I thought, sure, I can song lead. I can do Marty Haugen, David House, that's fine. But she said, no, Gino and I want you to sing the prayer. You take the Celine Dion part, and my fiance's cousin is a professional studio singer in Los Angeles, and he'll take the role of Andre Bocelli. Oh, and by the way, the ending is in Italian. I am not that kind of singer. There is no way I could pull that off. But something inside me said, go for it. Just do it. So I said yes, and I spent about 2 months in voice lessons trying to get my voice in shape. The wedding day comes, I'm up in the balcony at Assumption Church, and I asked the organist, where's the microphone? And the organist says to me, we don't use microphones. Assumption's acoustics are impeccable. You mean to tell me that my voice has to reach people sitting 5 football fields away down there? At that moment, my pits exploded. And my heart just jumps out of my chest. But boy, did I feel alive. The church filled up and I was on. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go. Have you ever sleepwalked through your own life? Were there times in your life where you are on autopilot? If you find yourself in that mode again down the line, what risk could you take on to make you come alive? Because when we're sleepwalking, we're in a tomb. But when we're risking, we're alive. Another way I feel stuck in a dark tomb is when I judge people instead of loving them. And I've noticed an interesting phenomenon. When I judge people and critique them and pick them apart and make them wrong, I can almost feel them moving farther away. But when you love people, when you build them up, when you accept them, faults and all, you can almost feel them moving closer to you. And that feels good. I caught myself saying once to a very good friend, it sounds to me like you are way too controlling with your daughter. No wonder she won't talk to you. Back off. Stop being a control freak. And I noticed how icky I felt after that conversation. And my friend, rightly so, didn't call me for a while. And I could definitely feel the distance that I had caused. Wouldn't it have been better if I had simply said, yeah, parenting is hard, and I have no advice to give. All I know with my own daughter is that whatever works with her, I try to do more of that. And whatever doesn't work with her, I try to do less of that. I love you both. Hang in there. I know you'll figure this out. Maybe it's not people you know, but maybe you find yourself judging people you don't know. There's that guy on the side of the road asking for money. I bet he's using it for drugs or booze. Yeah, he looks like he's using it for drugs or booze. Until he cleans up his act, I'm not going to give him a cent. That feels cold. Wouldn't it be better if I thought, I wonder what has driven this man to stand on this corner and ask for money every week? I need to acknowledge him and show him I see him and treat him with compassion. Like me, do you find yourself judging others and making them wrong? Who comes to mind in your life? Someone you know? Someone you don't know? If you are judging, in a judging mode this Lent, maybe we could all fast from judging people who don't act and look and talk and vote and live like us, and instead find a space in our hearts to love them. And I've found that when we are judging people, we are in a tomb. And when we are loving people, we are alive. A third way I feel stuck in a dark tomb is when I feel paralyzed and not able to be in action. The problem seems too big, the work is too hard, and the situation too hopeless. My own resources look too meager, and my effort too puny. What difference can I make in this huge problem? Not much. So sometimes I do absolutely nothing. But then I remember this simple saying, do what you can with what you have where you are. And you do that so well, St. Joan of Arc. You do that so well. You are known for being people in action. And thank you for the inspiration that you give to me and so many others. It's not up to us to feed the whole crowd, to solve the whole problem, to fix the whole world. But it is up to us to share what we've got, to feed whatever hunger there happens to be standing right in front of us. I work with teachers and students through Youth Frontiers, and I'm passionate about supporting our teachers, especially now as learning goes online, and there's a lot of stress and change in schools. How can I help change the face of education and give teachers the support they need? It's such a huge problem. But I can do it one teacher, one student at a time. I decided on my day off I was going to help one teacher at Ascension Catholic School on the North Side. For Miss Younce, I take the toughest kid to control out of her third grade class for 45 minutes, and I hang out with him in the hall playing Marble Run for about 20 minutes, and then help him with math for about 25 minutes. When I walk into the classroom, I see Mrs. Younce's face. And then I see Christopher's little face. Mrs. Cavanaugh! And I feel alive for about 45 minutes there. Not solving the education crisis, but helping one teacher and one student. When you think the problem is too big and you're paralyzed, you're in a tomb. But when you're in action, even a small action, you're alive. How can we get unstuck? There are two really good reasons why we are better alive than stuck in a tomb. The one is the world does not need more paralyzed, judgmental, sleepwalking people on the planet. There are already too many paralyzed, judgmental, sleepwalking people on the planet. And it makes those of us who are acting that way a big fat waste of space. We have immense challenges today. We can't afford to be stuck in a tomb. Life as we know it has turned upside down. And the kind of people who are going to solve these immense challenges are risking, loving, action-oriented, alive people. And of course, another reason is people who are alive are just plain happier people. Rolling away the stone, coming out of our tombs, coming alive is not easy. But the good news is we are not alone. We have each other. We encourage each other to come alive through phone calls and texts and FaceTimes and virtual happy hours. So keep connected to the people you care about in really creative ways. We have the help of our ancestors. Over the centuries, they overcame many difficult challenges. Just think of all the things our ancestors have faced. The bubonic plague, witch hunts in Salem, the Irish potato famine, the Civil War, Spanish flu, Great Depression. Every generation has had their challenges, and we are experiencing ours now. We can get through this. I am thinking of my dad a lot these days. He died when I was 21. When I am in need of spiritual support beyond what I personally can give myself, I always turn to him and feel him with me, giving me wisdom and comfort, reaching out to your ancestors. They are with you. We also have the help of our saints, especially our very own patron saint here at St. Joan of Arc. At St. Joan of Arc, young woman, fearless in conflict, so courageous. We have to ask for her help and for the help of all the saints. That's our tradition, to give us wisdom and courage and creativity to solve the challenges of our time, just as they met and overcame the challenges of their time. And most of all, we have the help of God. In the first reading today from the prophet Ezekiel, listen for this line. It's beautiful. I will put my spirit in you that you may live, and I will open your graves and have you rise from them. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is God's promise. We must ramp up our prayer lives and believe that we have God's Spirit in us. And we must take the Spirit into the world now. Let's stop our sleepwalking and risk. Let's stop our stuckness, move into action. Let's stop our judging and love. Let's roll away the stone and come alive. Next up, we have a beautiful song sung by Thomasina Petrus. She's going to sing I'm Alive. She's going to be accompanied by Dan Chouinard. Peace.
From underneath the last tree, we watch the sky, confusing stars, the satellites. I never dreamed we'd run out of time, but here we are, we're here. So as we lay beneath these stars, we realize how small we are. If they could love like you do, imagine what this world could be. Close your eyes and imagine what this world could be. Let's close our eyes, imagine what this world could be.
O God of life and radical welcome, you remind us that no one is excluded from your family. No one is too bad, too poor, too useless, too unimportant to be part of the community. May we always be a place that is life-giving, a place of truth and grace and welcome. Amen.